What's up? So, who was you impressing? You know how it is. I don't know. Back in the day, you wanted to make that impression. And it always seemed to be in the summertime when somebody came through, it was always like, I got to do something like, I want to. And I don't know why it was like that. I don't know if it was, I know growing up back in the day, I saw, chasing girls and stuff back in the day and always trying to, we play pickup ball or do something. And you're trying to make this impression. Or it was somebody that was older and they were dignified and you wanted to act like you were articulate. You wanted to come across like you was deep, you know. It is like you was really trying to make that impression. Like you had that kind of that sway about you. It's like I'm gonna make this impression. I'm gonna, and you don't think about it until time goes out in hindsight where it's like, you know, and it's just amazing how it it puts you in in that state of mind. It's like, wow, that's was something that I just didn't even think about. But yeah, who are you trying to impress? And it's always in the daytime. It ain't never at night. Cause you were, at the time, depending on where your life was, cause unless you're going out to some fancy restaurant or you going somewhere, you was trying to make that daytime impression. It's like, look, let me tell you what I'm working with. It's like you were preparing yourself like a used car salesperson. Maybe if you're gonna become president or a congressman, politician life or something. But yeah, they always is like somebody you was trying to impress, teach you had a crush on or something. Yeah, you was crushing. Yeah, you was. Or, you just like you learned something. You wanted to sound like you was deep and philosophical. You wanted to sound like you was on a mission, like you were, And we been there, we didn't gone through there, we didn't seen all that. Uh, it's just something that the way things life manifest, the way and how it comes and goes. And then, one day you wake up and you think to yourself, what was that all about? What was I thinking? It's kind of like, why was I in that predicament? Why was I like, just tripping like that? But that's just part of the experiences of growing up, um, trying to be wise beyond your years, you know. But then again, I think about that old song by Junior. Mama used to say, take your time, don't rush to get old. Because sometimes when people long for something, it ain't cracked up to be what you thought it was, or that person that you thought, you know. So, but we all had like that moment where we saw somebody or some light and thought that was going to be the light and shining bowl, and we're going to keep coming through it, and it just didn't pan out or turn out that way. So, you but you have to psychologically evolve. You have to like, you know, and you can tell when someone's trying to impress you. I think you can, or they use words or they say things that they think they're gonna. It's always interesting how the conversation goes too, because if you're not as the appealing one, then they'll defer to somebody else. And I always been in that situation because I listen and people look at you to check you out. They say, okay, this person's the one that's about it. That's another thing too, judgment and how quick that is to. But I seen it recently. I was hanging out in church conversation and cat was talking to the other cat and I said, look, I'm cool with that. Act like I'm a bum. Don't say nothing. It's all good. Because, people are quick to do that. But that's that impression thing that you learn growing up that you try to do it yourself. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments. And I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.